Welcome to the Why Isn't It Working Business and Tech podcast, talking all things business and tech in the emerging and enterprise space. Here are your hosts, Karl Wood and Michael Hamilton.
Hi, and welcome to the podcast. Today we have Alex Drag from Kobiton's platform. It's a mobile experience platform. How are you today, Alex?
Doing well. How you doing, Michael?
Oh, very good, very good. And my partner in crime, as always, Karl Wood, is here with me today. How are you, Karl?
I'm very well, Michael. Thank you very much.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, Karl, feel free to set off and with the first question.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Michael. Alex, thanks for joining us today. So can you give us and the listeners a bit of a background on some of your work history and how you got to where you are today?
Absolutely. And first of all, thanks for having me. I'm pumped to be here. Work history, so not a whole lot of it. I'm still a baby, 25. So I've worked two places, and the first being Tricentis, as I'm sure you all are aware. Started there as a technical writer, moved into product marketing, did that for about a year, and then moved on to Kobiton, and that's what I'm doing here, right? So sort of helping out to build the department here at Kobiton, product marketing, and it's not much more than that, just product marketing in the software testing space.
So obviously moving from there, part of your role in the past, Alex, has been around sort of product marketing. So, what are some of the good fundamentals that, go into that to sort of, alert the customer on, capabilities and really, nailing their brief as well?
Yeah. So fundamentals of product marketing, this is sort of the impossible question. It's one of those positions that depending on whatever company you're at, it's going to look very different. When I describe my job to some people, they think I'm in product engineering. Some people think I'm in sales, and some people think I'm in marketing, right? So it does change. But if you're talking fundamental skills, the ability to capture technical information and sort of turn that into market-facing speak, and tell a cohesive, but also straight to the point story that conveys not just technical value but business value as well. When you talk about, maybe briefing people on product updates and changes to the platform, that's of paramount importance, right? Because I'll get real excited about mobile testing and mobile experience. So I'll want to go and write pages and pages and pages of updates. But, I got to put my product marketing hat on and make sure I can tell a story that's going to be friendly to our entire audience, right? They're not looking for my novel. They're looking for a short, concise, value-driven sort of story. So if I look at one part of the fundamentals, I think that ability to sort of shorten and compress very long, lengthy technical information to a concise, value-driven story is probably sort of top of my list.
And you mentioned an interesting thing there, because this role has evolved in the past couple of years, and specifically in the tech space. It's not just enough to sort of go, okay, great, I've got a marketing background, but you've really got to understand how the product works, what the features are, and technically understand the audience you're pitching to as well, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. A lot of my job is sitting and talking to technical end users, right? Developers, testers, product managers. If I don't understand what their day-to-day looks like and what their challenges are on the technical side, I'm not going to do a very good job. That's for sure.
And with the business outcome of the platform and obviously engaging with engineers, is it more about experience of the apps that they're building, or is it the defects they might have on it, or what sort of outcomes do you help them resolve or mitigate?
It's a great question. It really is both. You're talking functional defects, of course, that needs to be caught, right? So issues and UI there are a huge deal. But UX is also of paramount importance, right? The actual experience that somebody has with an app in their hand is crucial. And when you actually look at some of the statistics around mobile experience and app abandonment, I think the number is something like 1 in 4 of all mobile apps are abandoned after their first use. And to give another easy example. We look like things like shopping cart abandonment. I think it's like something like if you have to wait longer than 3 seconds for a page to load, you're likely to abandon that cart. I think it's like 75% more likely to abandon that cart, right? So the experience there also matters, and not even get into the whole point of visual, right? How does the app look? Especially if you're dealing with something like a gaming app where the dynamic content is of crucial importance. A lot of things moving on the screen. If the experience there isn't good, your app's going to get a 1-star review, right? In the mobile world, that is a big no-no. Can't allow it.
I've also, what I've noticed is I've worked on a lot of mobile testing with trading apps like banking or stock trading.
Yeah.
What sort of customers have you got? What's the common theme?
Oh gosh. Well, the common theme is that their tool works on a mobile device, right? So that's one of them. And I mean, I think as we've seen, the shift to mobile has been massive, and it's only speeding up. We're talking about things that are in the hands of consumers. There is just so much revenue to be captured on mobile channels now. I mean, I just think sort of an easy example of the Amazon app, right? Like I probably buy way more stuff on Amazon simply because I have this in my pocket. The experience is good, right? So there's this mobile channel that can capture all sorts of revenue. But when you're looking at sort of our sweet spot, where we really find a lot of success, it's companies that are very mobile critical, mobile first. Companies such as an Uber, right, where you're ordering the ride on a phone. Your experience rating of the ride is on a phone. Very mobile first, very mobile critical. But really, I mean, every industry now is having to to sort of create, in order to keep up, create a mobile offering. And if quality is not there, it's not going to capture the revenue that they would hope for.
Sorry, and with that in mind, with the actual apps and how when you build them and help them with the mitigating that risk, are you finding that you've got a lot of enterprise customers, or is it small businesses, or what sort of target market or niche are you looking at?
Yeah, well, I mean, we have customers all across the board, from mid-market up, but there are definitely some big enterprises that have found out about Kobiton, are using our tool and our platform to ensure that quality for their customers. I don't want to sit here and list off all of them, but go to Kobiton.com and you can see a list. There's my shameless plug of the evening.
Go ahead, Carl. Sorry, mate, I cut you off.
That's all right. I think we're sort of crossing wires though, Michael. It's weird. I think we're pretty sync for this. So around the Kobiton platform, so I mean, are you guys working with a lot of people sort of in the startup area? Are there more of those startups focusing on the mobile-based solutions as opposed to enterprise? Do you do a good mix of both? Like, what are you seeing as a trend as well?
Yeah, it's a good mix of both. So I mean, we have multiple kinds of plans. If you want to come use our solution, we have plans where you can come in and buy the minutes yourself, right? You don't have to even mess with someone from sales. So we have those sort of self-serve options there, and we see a lot of startups and sort of lower to mid-market teams looking at options like those. But absolutely, we are very busy and very involved in the enterprise space. Especially as our solution is scaled, and we've started to offer a lot of really enterprise-friendly solutions such as scriptless test automation and a lot of AI-based capabilities. Enterprises have caught on. So yeah, we're doing a whole lot of work in the enterprise at the enterprise level, but still a mix of both for sure.
Yeah, and this is a really, really competitive space, isn't it? Because I mean, if you look at statistics, like on average, people check their phone 150 times a day. So if people aren't releasing apps that are very optimized or have buggy points, then people will quite fickle, right? They're just going to drop off and not use their app again. So it is an area that's becoming much more competitive, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And just before we hit sort of the competition in the actual mobile testing space, you bring up a good point, right? If you have an issue with your mobile application, oftentimes you're not just going to put it away, you're going to find a competing app, right? So the competition between mobile apps is also huge. So if you go to the App Store and you type in or you look within a certain category of applications, you're probably going to find hundreds of potential options, right? So that's the the stat that I mentioned earlier, that 1 in 4 mobile apps are abandoned after first use. They're not abandoned for nothing or for later. They're abandoned for them to hop to another option, right? So I think that the market has caught on to that. So as a result, you said that the mobile testing space, mobile experience space is definitely become very competitive. There are a lot of vendors that are that are trying to put together a platform offering that can help ensure that high quality experience.
And I'm also, look, in my experience of talking to different companies over the last 15 years or so, I've noticed that when it comes to mobile testing, for example, some companies go, I don't need to do that, or it costs too much.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. Some of them do that, and then they don't understand why they're churned or there's abandonment rate and all those type of things. How do you find that with trying to get your people to adopt the platform who do think that way?
Yeah, so luckily we have a very excited market. We have a lot of people that are coming to us looking for a solution like ours. So I at least personally, I haven't had to do a whole lot of convincing that mobile testing is important. But I would like to sit and sort of focus on what you just said. When maybe it costs too much or it's really hard, and I think that is one reason why a lot of teams have sort of ditched or at least skipped a very comprehensive approach to mobile quality and mobile experience. And mobile is just different, right? I mean, I know that you all are very familiar with the world of web testing, enterprise app testing, desktop-based testing, but mobile there are just a unique set of challenges. One of them being there are literally thousands of different device types out there in the world, and even if you take a device type, You also have to take consideration the operating system it's running, the screen size and screen resolution that people have chosen, right? So there's all these different permutations. So even if a team is prioritizing mobile testing, what I've found is that sort of a comprehensive approach, making sure that you have coverage, that test case covers, or whatever process you're testing covers all these different permutations, between device type, OS, form factor. That's where I think that a lot of the testing lacks, right? You basically have teams that sort of might compromise and only test the top 10 or top 15 most popular combinations of device type, OS, and screen size, whatever it might be. And that's one of the areas that we're really trying to work on. But one of the solutions that we're offering a lot of teams is a very easy way to scale the compatibility testing there, right? Does it work well? Does it look right? Does it perform at a high level across all these different types of devices, form factors, operating systems, et cetera?
The other area as well, I guess, is around sort of, the APM component as well. So obviously you've got the testing aspect, but then there's also looking at the analytics side of things in regards to app performance, take up and those sort of things as well. So how granular are you guys getting in regards to that? I mean, are you sort of tracking, conversion rates? Are you tracking page hits and views? And how often are those customers then taking that data back in and then, appropriating change? Is it something where, we see a lot of solutions which provide a huge amount of information? If we look at the top APM providers, right, it's massive, but often it's then slow to get back through the cycle and push out into features. So how are you guys seeing that response to the data you're helping provide your customers?
Yeah, so right now our main focus is making sure that the app that you push to customers that actually ends up in their hands is of highest quality, provides the highest quality experience possible, right? So as far as the information monitoring and production, seeing what the performance of that app when it's in the user's hand, we aren't as much in that area right now, but we are working hand in hand with customers who have that information, right? So they're tracking that. Seeing the success of their application, we're working closely with them to make sure that quality and experience of their customers is absolutely as high as possible.
That's awesome. And with the actual engagement of the product or the platform with developers, is it a matter of just coming in and training them, or is it they self-service themselves and just point towards their environments or their IDEs to your platform? Is that how simple it goes?
Well, as far as self-serve, I mean, it just depends on how you're approaching our platform. There are, like I said, multiple ways to consume it. But one of the cool things about our platform is that we don't charge per user. It's completely unlimited, right? So if you're a team of testers, team of product managers, developers, anyone can come into the Kobiton platform and access devices, ensure that what you've built is running correctly. One of the things that the developers use our tool really love is their ability to do ADB debugging, where you can actually debug on your real device, access your real device straight within your IDE, or come into the Kobiton UI and actually perform ADB commands right there on the manual test session. So you can get information you wouldn't be able to normally get from manual tests that you'd have to run ADB commands on, for an Android device. But our tool is being used in a multitude of ways when it comes to how testers use it and developers use it. It really depends on the app. I mean, given that mobile first and mobile critical now is so industry expansive, it's not really locked into one kind of industry. There are all sorts of use cases, right? And all sorts of ways that these teams use a tool that are very unique to the specific space that they might be in.
So what do you see from a future perspective now? So, I mean, you guys obviously evolving the platform, and it's going to be more mobile focused as well. Do you think, in addition to that, some of the aspects around mobile development are now becoming obviously easier to access? So, there's going to be more and more competition in this space as well from startups as well. So is there going to be more continual disruption from those startups in this space as well?
That's a good question. I mean, I think that we see it, right? Like we were sort of, when it comes to the scriptless automation in the mobile space, we'll take that for example. When we brought this to market, we were the only tool that was talking about this, the only vendor that was talking about this. And now we're seeing some small, like you said, some startups, some nimble companies that are coming in trying to offer very similar things. And we're keeping tabs on that, right? I'm very interested in it, right? Not just from a competitive perspective, but I'm very excited and enthused about the space of mobile. So I love seeing what people are doing. When it comes to the developer side of the house, absolutely. I mean, I think there's a lot of technology being worked on right now, a lot of solutions being worked on to ensure that what you build is going to be, of the highest user experience and quality possible before you even push that code to test, right? So I do think that there's a lot of activity going on there. And that's one of the things that we're working on, right? So when we, one of the sort of core pillars of what we do with test automation is the visual testing piece, right? So actually testing the validity and verifying the UI looks the way it should visually. But one other component of that is actually checking design, right? And one of the things that we're working on is an AI-based model where we're actually going to be able to tell you, what beautiful is, right? So you'll be able to see, how does your UI, your UX stack up to some of the most beautiful, most high-performing apps in the world. Can't give too much information around this right now because it's coming out in future launch. So keep your eyes peeled. If you want some more information, we actually have some stuff on our blog that I've been sort of dropping sneak peeks into this next big thing for a while. But yeah, I think there's a whole lot going on in the world of mobile app development. And we're excited to see what other startups in the space start creating, and we're excited to see what we keep building.
Awesome. And I did some research the other day. I noticed you did an acquisition recently. What was that actually? I didn't know exactly what it was. But,
so you said, sorry, I think you cut out there. Can you restate the question?
I noticed you did an acquisition recently, as the company has. What was that exactly?
Yeah, absolutely. No, this was a week or two ago. I'm losing track of time. But yeah, we recently acquired another company in our space called Mobile Labs. Really excited about it. You're taking sort of the two best in their areas in the space and creating this powerhouse with us, one of the most flexible real device clouds in the industry, plus the AI-based testing piece with the scriptless automation, and some other AI-based components as well with the Mobile Labs, extra secure and sensitive on-premise deployments, and high-performing device access, right? So one of these things that's interesting with Mobile Labs is and I guess it's not just Mobile Labs, now it's Kobiton, through their technology, through once again our technology, you can actually get stream rates at 30 FPS, right? So this is great for gaming companies who are building apps with highly dynamic content. When you're actually accessing that real device and testing that real device, testing your game, you're seeing video streamed back at 30 FPS at the same time, right? So that was something that was totally unique in the mobile app side of the house. But now we're bringing this into this integrated platform. With of course, this being such a recent acquisition, we'll have more information on what the integrated platform will look like going forward, but it is very exciting. And, one of the things that I'm so excited about is the real winner here is our customers. You've got a great set of customers on the, sort of legacy Kobiton side and a great set of customers on the mobile app side. And so far the excitement has just been through the roof, on both sides here. We're being able to combine, like I said, sort of the best of the best in their two spaces, into this one, pure mobile experience platform. So we are, very excited to have the mobile apps team on board. It has been a whirlwind of the last, week or two, but it's been a blast already. It's very exciting stuff.
That's awesome. Well, Carl and I have been interviewing some VC people or venture capital people here in Australia as guests and just talk about it regularly. And we really admire the American market and how much money is spent on innovation and startups. And I know you are too. I know we discussed.
Yeah, absolutely.
But how is that create a situation where you've got a lot of competitors potentially in the future, or because what your product does is really reduce costs and efficiencies and gain efficiencies for clients in the long term in their development process, right? STLC. But how do you find the actual investment community and how that might produce competitors, or is it more complementary for your product in the future?
I'm sorry, I think I'm having a hard time understanding what you're asking. So I'm struggling there.
It's okay. With the actual VC investment in the US, how you find is more competitors on the market in the future with your platform, or is it something, or is it more complementary things that come onto the market in the future from the investment?
That's a good question. I mean, I think that there were already a bunch of, sort of legacy providers that hit the market first when it came to mobile testing, and well, really it's mobile web, but some that are more pure mobile. So what we've seen, as I mentioned earlier, there are some more competitors that are entering the market. One of the things that we, take very seriously is being able to play nice and be able to complement. We see our AI as being something that, we want to be able to have sit on top of a bunch of different offerings, and whatever tools you might be using for one component of your mobile experience, we want to be able to help, help complement that, as you mentioned. So yes, definitely new competitors, but also a lot of things that are, that are coming onto the scene that would be complementary. But another one of the major trends is that, we're seeing people want a consolidated solution, right? So I do think that as that continues to be a trend going forward, you will probably start to see some more competitors come onto the scene that are offering a very comprehensive, platform solution to mobile experience. And right now, I see us as the major player there, and I think that we'll continue to sort of fight in that space as best we can.
The other area, I guess, as well, Alex, is, during the COVID period, obviously there's been a huge shift towards more, digital facing services. So obviously
Yeah.
you guys do a lot of work with telco and retail.
Mhm.
But have you seen a big uptake in your customers for that as part of that trend as well? I mean, there was a big, I guess, worry that, during COVID, people wouldn't be, committing as much to the economy and it would be creating a recession. But we're starting to see that there's actually more investment now. It's just a different way of people procuring goods as opposed to going down to the
Yeah.
store. It's all digital and shipping. So is that something that you guys are also seeing as part of an uptake with your business?
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, the shift to mobile, I think, has absolutely been accelerated here. Right? Like as you mentioned, you perfectly said it. It's just a difference in how people actually procure goods, right? So now we have revenue streams that just exist on a different channel. So we've absolutely seen that. I think there's much more investment going into mobile experience as a result of that. One of the other trends that we've identified, and this really goes beyond these last 7 or 8 months, but the shift to more highly distributed teams and actually being able to access the infrastructure that you need to test on. So in this case, would be real devices. So within the mobile world, that's another major trend that we've seen is that how are people going to access this real device I need to test on that might exist in my office when they can't be in the office anymore, given the high distribution that we've been seeing. So those, two major trends that we've absolutely seen. The shift to mobile has been going on for a while, but I think heightened and accelerated by the last 8 months. And the same thing with, being able to access test environments properly and, across the globe.
Absolutely. And I guess the other thing is as well, with the huge amount of investment being spent in this space, it's unlikely that even if things return to somewhat, normality, and I hate using that word, but even if, consumer confidence returns and lockdowns are lifted, it's very unlikely we're going to see a shift back to sort of traditional methods, right? Like the digital aspects here, it's probably going to be the platform used moving forward as well.
Yeah, personally, I see a combination of the two, right? One of my favorite examples that I'm seeing now is if you go out to a restaurant, you're sitting outside, their menu now is via QR code, right? And I saw that prior to this, but I see it a whole lot more now, right? If you want to see any sort of menu, just scan it through the camera app on your phone, and there you go, right? There's no more very in person, serving giving a menu and taking an order there. So yes, I do think that there's room to see this is maybe a almost complete shift to mobile or other digital channels, but I also see a lot of potential for sort of a combined approach. You're actually going to a physical space, but interacting with that physical space through a digital means, which is absolutely incredibly interesting, and I think provides a lot of opportunity for those in our space.
Yeah, and I think one of the other areas I've seen a lot of this happen in America as well is like, your traditional bricks and mortar stores are starting to reduce in size, where you have stock available. You will go there, look at it, select what you want, and then leave the store, and that will then be delivered, logistically back to your house rather than taking it with you as well. So that's sort of, like you said, a bit of a hybrid method in regards to procurement as well.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Procurement and ultimately, how to approach that customer experience. It's definitely something that's exciting to see. And I really can't wait to see how this continues to develop over the next several years.
That's awesome. And with the software development side of the team that you've got, the development team, is it just more software developers and data scientists because you are using an AI approach, or what's the team size and the dynamic and the skill requirements that you have at the moment?
As far as when it comes to who is using our tool, or actually internally here at Kobiton?
Internally with your own team, the development team, internally.
Yeah, I don't think it looks much different than your normal testing company, who's building, quality solutions. We have a lot of developers, POs, PMs, right? There are definitely data scientists. I mean, whoever has the best data wins, right? We take that seriously. So yeah, I think that, what you said probably captures it pretty well.
Awesome. So in regards to you, Alex, I guess what are the next steps? Obviously, there's been like a good merge now with Mobile Labs. So what's the next few months look for you like? Obviously, leading into the holiday period, is there now a sort of a big push consolidating those platforms together, looking at what the future is going to be? Is that sort of the next, I guess, priority for the next 3 months?
Yeah, 2021 planning is well underway, right? So that is on my list, as it is on the list of a lot of others at Kobiton. Still investing heavily in both solutions and trying to figure out how we can best combine those for our customers, make sure we can deliver the best value for both sides of the house. But more than just that, but make sure that we're continuing to keep an eye on the market, keep an eye on what customers, prospects, anybody who needs to build a mobile application might need in order to deliver and ensure the highest quality experience there. And personally for me, priority number 2 or 3 is take a vacation. I need this holiday break for sure, and I really do look forward to it. So I'm looking forward to 2021 planning, continue to build an awesome product and taking some time off. That's for sure.
And we all, Carl? It's a big year, right?
Yeah.
In November we are.
Yeah.
So, no, definitely for sure. But obviously, moving forward in the future for yourself, are you guys hiring at the moment, new developers, or what's it look like on the staff front?
We are hiring across the board. It's an exciting time here. There's a lot of growth going on. So really, look at every department. We're looking for talent. Yeah, it's very exciting. I'm very excited. I think in a year or two, Kobiton's going to look like a whole different company. So it's super exciting.
Truly global, hey? Truly global.
Yeah, that's right. That's the goal. That's sure. Yeah.
Well, I hope from this podcast today that Carl and I have given some opportunity and insights into the Australian market.
Yeah.
Definitely take advantage of that. Yes, obviously. Look, definitely Carl and I find that there's a lot of digital engagement in this market, especially in APAC, especially with banks. They take the mobile experience very seriously.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Massive. And I think we had some previous people on the program talking about the market and how we do, the companies do invest in mobile mobility. But are you guys covering, Apple Watches also? So I meant to ask that question.
IoT. That's right. IoT. Yeah, no, that's a major priority for, especially going forward, is ensuring that we have solutions for, the vast majority of mobile devices. At this point, I think mobile devices doesn't just apply to phones, right? So there are a whole lot of things that are technically mobile, and that is absolutely something that we have a major focus on. Yeah, and there are use cases where IoT is a part of our offering. Yeah, so that's also another exciting thing. Once again, the world of mobile is it's gathering new devices by the day. So Kobiton will do our best to always support it. That's for sure.
Well, the backlog's long and fulfilled.
That's right. Yeah, continue adding to the backlog.
That's all right. No, it's good, especially with sunglasses and all those IoT devices. It's just going to go crazy, isn't it? And nuts. So
who knows where your phone's going to be in 30 years? It's going to be on your sunglasses, on your watch, or a combination of all of it, probably. So
I think I'll stick to my classic sunglasses. I don't think I can handle ads popping up right in my eyeballs. If it's anything like what we're seeing some of the other stuff,
I agree.
Yeah, until
The watch thing's interesting though, isn't it, Alex? I mean, we've now got the ability where, it's probably the same with you guys. You've got NFC communications. You can tap and go with your watch, and even to some degree take phone calls. So we're starting to see a bit of an evolution now, and then people, I guess, are looking for that, aren't they? What's the next mobile? Like mobile exploded, in 2007 with when the new iPhone came out, or the old iPhone now, but when it was new at the time. And I guess everyone's now looking for, okay, what's that combination of wearables that people will accept and can be useful? And it's really interesting to see how that's going to evolve as well.
Yeah, I know. It's absolutely interesting. And I couldn't tell you what the next wearable is, but I can tell you that I think the major challenge that wearables have to face is, how do we look good, right? How do the wearables be made in a way that's also fashionable? Once I can get my my Apple Rolex, right, I think that wearables will catch on big time. So we'll just have to see. But yeah, I don't know. I think you mentioned earlier that the glasses are interesting. I think there have been some things put out in the market, but they haven't caught a whole lot of momentum yet. But I think we're getting there, right? So maybe it'll be glasses, maybe it'll be who knows what, But I do think, like you said, the world of mobile wearables is for sure exploding, and there's a lot of potential there.
You do raise an interesting point there, and I guess watches are a good analogy because there's still a lot of hardcore collectors that won't look at anything digital because, obviously it's around the craftsmanship. But if we look at that from a software perspective, I guess the other area as well for you guys is software has to look good too now, doesn't it? It's no longer just, the ability to have the best functioning software, but it also has to look good and provide, smooth transitions and a great user experience too. So obviously that's front of mind for you guys as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think I mentioned earlier that the visual testing piece, what we really call, visual quality, because it's, visual testing right now really refers to visual verification when you look at other offerings in the market, but we do a whole lot more than that, in ensuring that your app does look good, it's verified, but also will look beautiful, right? This is the whole design checking and InDesign quality that we're working on building as well. And one of the, interesting points that you sort of hinted at there is that, it's thinking about function and also appearance, and really they bleed into each other a lot of the time, right? So I think that visual issues can absolutely be, from the point of the user, be perceived as a functional issue. And one of the sort of the classic examples that I like to bring up is the white text on a white background versus black text on a white background, right? This is the classic example any visual testing person will tell you about. That if you have, let's take, this phone on, phone A on operating system 1 and phone B on operating system 2 and different screen res, you can build the same app for both of them, but something happens where on this second phone, that text, say on a login screen, right? The text that might say, oh, you entered your wrong password, right? When you hit submit, the credentials are wrong. If that text on phone 1 pops up with a black text, oh, I got to change my credentials. I'm going to make sure I get this password right and I can then log in successfully. But on the second phone, if somehow something's wrong or in this next release or across our devices, that text pops up in white or pops up in a certain other spot, a functional test oftentimes isn't going to catch that, right? It's going to say, oh, the text popped up. So boom, my functional test is passed. But a visual test is going to catch, wait, there's a difference between black text here and white text there. And what would happen in that instance of the white text is it would feel like a functional issue on the end, from the point of the end user, because they're going to just keep hitting login, and nothing's happening, or they're not receiving anything happening because the text is white on the white background, right? And take your early example, Michael, of banking apps. You hit submit too many times on a login screen with the wrong information, you'll get locked out, right? Which is a horrible user experience and probably looks like a one-star app store rating, which is the like I said, the last thing that you want. So yeah, the world of visual and design and UI and UX, I think is absolutely massive. And that's why you see, companies like Apple Tools that have made such a splash on the market. So yeah, it's definitely an area that we currently offer, an area where we are absolutely investing in going forward.
Yeah, and look, my biggest gripe with mobile apps is when you just install them and they just crash the minute you open up the first time.
Yeah,
and that's it's happened to me so many times. You never go back, and the client never know why.
Mm-hmm.
But are you finding when you do talk to clients from the education perspective that are they surprised by how much testing they need to do, like how much time they need to invest and how many operation systems they need to cover, different type of patches? Obviously, screen resolution size, I find they get that, but are they aware of the extra stuff on top of that they have to cover?
Yeah, I think teams, if they're not aware of it at first, they quickly become aware of it. Or like one of the things that I hear often when I'm speaking with people is our app works great on phone X, phone A, B, and C, but horribly on X, Y, and Z, or it's an operating system difference, right? And when you ask, are people sort of staggered by how much they have to test? It really depends. Are you doing this manually or are you doing it in an automated fashion? If you're doing this manually, you're going to need a whole army of testers to make sure that your app works across a wide array of devices and operating systems. Right now, it can be done. Absolutely, it can be done. But that's why I think you're seeing a lot of push for intelligent solutions of test automation in the mobile space. And there are some unique challenges there to automating tests for mobile. I'm happy to have you dig into further if you all would like, but yeah, it's a lot of testing depending on how you do it, right? And that's why the compatibility testing is such an important piece here in the mobile space, because you do have all of these different permutations, device types, operating systems, form factors that you have to test your app for, right? Because it might be the same phone, same operating system, but if your screen res is different or your screen size is different, your app might not work the same, right? And that's absolutely something that you want to make sure that you have covered by your tests.
No, it's a good one. Karl and I have seen some good labs. We walk into some labs around the place, and a lot of mobile devices, very hot, and a lot of maintenance and high cost, right? From that perspective, and when I've been writing test strategies in the past and doing estimates, I know before I start that mobile side's going to be expensive in the past. But your platform really brings that cost down, right? And that's what it really focuses on.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And so when you're referring to labs, or you're talking about like in-house, in-house hosting your phones locally. Yeah. No, that's absolutely something that I think a lot of teams are trying to get away from, or teams are really interested in sort of a combination of both, right? Because there are certain reasons why you would want to locally host certain phones. But there's been such a transition to a shift to a more of a device cloud approach for that exact reason, right? For trying to cut costs, because managing your own devices, procuring your own devices, absolutely it's a costly process and goal. And also, look, we're going to continually add more devices into the market, right? And you're going to have to continually find more space in your on-premises device lab, right? If you want to continue to be able to host enough devices to test on. So that's, one of the main components of our platform is the infrastructure piece. One of the things that makes mobile pretty unique is you do need access to real devices to test your applications on. So one of the ways that we approach that is this incredibly flexible deployment, group of deployment offerings. So we have a public cloud where you can access a bunch of devices that we host in our own data center. You have private cloud where we can procure, a certain amount of devices for you, host, manage those devices all for you in our data center that only your team can access, right? It's a completely and totally privatized cloud. But also, if you do have your local devices in-house, and this is one of the things that a lot of customers of ours are really excited about, is that, we want to make sure that you still get plenty of ROI on that investment in your initial lab, right? So we allow you to take those local devices and connect them to your private cloud so that you can access those, across the globe, right? So before you had teams that if you wanted to access and test on your local device, well, you better be in the office, in the building next to that device, right? But now anyone can access that device that might be hosted locally in one of your office buildings from across the globe through the Kobiton Real Device Cloud. And then of course, we have the new mobile labs, on-premise lab as well. So we offer this broad array of options that you can choose from when it comes to how to host and deploy your devices. And of course, the hybrid approach. We have a lot of customers that are doing a little bit of each. Really just a solution for every team there, which absolutely, as you mentioned, absolutely cuts costs, right? Because having to procure your own devices, it's a lot. Having to store your devices, it's a lot. And having to maintain your devices is a lot. And we'll do a lot of that work for you if you need it.
That's awesome, isn't it? And it's really about the accessibility component too. Like you said, the end customers that you have can look at, basically saying, great, I don't need to buy 20, 30, 40 devices and invest a huge amount of OpEx up front. I can use, the Container Cloud. I can do what I need to do in order to basically deliver better software. So, and that's one of the big things. So there's a lot of that. I guess now we've got almost a sort of mobile as a service, right? Another catchy, acronym to run forward with as well. Committing to mass. That's right. Yeah. So which is fantastic. Do you find still with your customers, Alex, like is there still that combination of web and mobile, or is it starting to really shift more to mobile and web's just sort of a landing page, for example, that gives information about the mobile product?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a combination of both, and it really depends on the industry you're in. There are certain industries that are a lot more mobile critical, and there are certain companies and industries that are mobile critical. And we see a lot of popular applications now that are just popular applications that really have no client-facing web interface, or like you said, just a homepage that's going to direct you to that mobile application. When it comes to our customers, right now we are pure mobile play. We have totally focused on the mobile experience. It's not to say that down the road there might not be a web component. Like I said, 2021 planning and 2022 planning is still underway. But our main focus is on that mobile experience, and that's one of the reasons why I think that Kobiton right now is really the only provider that's been able to provide things that actually make testing, like the actual practice of testing, a lot easier and a lot better for your QA engineers and in your SDETs, whereas most of their legacy vendors are really only focused on the device and the infrastructure play. A lot of those mobile web providers just haven't had the ability to invest in their pure mobile solution. But as far as what customers are looking for, there's such importance, especially in the mobile critical space, that I need to invest in the quality and the experience of my mobile application. If that means that I have to use this other solution for web, so be it. I want to make sure that the mobile application is of highest quality and experience as possible for our customers. But there is definitely a shift, right? I see more revenue being generated, on a percentage basis on the mobile side of things as opposed to the web side of things, and we see that those sorts of numbers increasing over time. Of course, depending on the industry and the team, right? It all is dependent on the specific use case.
That's awesome. It's massive. But do you find with the automation strategy for a client that they would ramp up slowly into the coverage of the mobile market, for example? Or do you give them a priority to focus on first, or do you give them a large chunk they should automate? How do you go about that to encourage?
Priority of devices to test against, or test cases to automate?
Devices,
So I mean, there are all sorts of resources you can use to calculate coverage, and we'll work with our customers on that to decide which devices do you need, right? Because that absolutely matters, because not every application is being created for an Android audience and an iOS audience, right? There are certain applications and there are certain teams that are pure iOS or pure Android, and there are certain applications that people are developing only to work on certain operating systems, right? And that's just the way it's going to be. So, we'll make sure that, it's technology, it's people, it's process, right? It's not just the tech. Want to make sure that we help our customers, figure out what's the best process for them. What are the best devices that they can choose? What are the devices they truly need? How to host those, how to deploy those that works best for them. When it comes to, what sort of tests to automate, we'll work with them as well there, right? Because I think we're all aware that not every single test case needs to be automated for every single device. There are certain things that, are done manually and certain things that are done in an automated fashion. So absolutely, we want to make sure we provide all the content, resources, and help necessary when it comes to how to prioritize your testing strategies.
Fantastic. So, Alex, I guess, it's coming into the holidays there. What have you got planned, mate, for the break? You're catching up with the family, hopefully. How's life over there treating you?
Life is okay. We just started decorating for the holidays this week, which has been exciting. Unfortunately, no major plans for us. We'll probably stay in a majority of it. We will definitely see our families, try and be as safe as possible, of course, but it'll be great to see them. But yeah, nothing insane. Not really going anywhere crazy. How about yourself?
Well, they've already, I'm already starting to hear Mariah Carey's Christmas song, so I'm about ready. I'm nearly about ready to shoot myself. But I think it's gonna be a hot one here. I think, again, we're not quite sure. Same as you guys. I'm not sure between state to state borders and everything, whether that's open or not. So at the moment, it's still up in the air for us. But hey, man, we'll just make the best of it, right? That's all we can do.
That's right. That's right. The holidays happen regardless, so got to make the best of it. That's for sure.
For us, I think more.
Yeah,
that's it. COVID's not going to stop the family fights, man. That's that's going to go ahead regardless.
Very much so. Yeah.
That's great.
Wonderful.
That's
well,
great.
Alex, we really appreciate you coming on today. It's really fantastic to talk to you again. And look, in regards to what you guys are currently doing with Kobiton, it's really, really impressive. And I think, like you said, you're going from strength to strength. You're in a really good point of the market. And it's really great to see you guys push forward and develop a really intricate and innovative solution. So thank you very much for joining us today and providing your insights.
Well, I appreciate that. And likewise, it's been an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate it. And I'd love to hop on and talk with you all again. It's been a lot of fun.
Oh, without doubt.
Absolutely.
Great.
Wonderful. Cheers. Well, have yourself a fantastic night. We won't keep you too long, man.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate it. Y'all have I guess it's a morning for you all. So have a great rest of the day.
Awesome. Catch you later.
Cheers, Alex.
Cheers.